Hello, everyone. My name is Said Wisal, and I'm really excited to welcome everybody here today for our inaugural ZEDEDA Transform event. Um, it's been an amazing opportunity here to set up an event with a lot of partners, a lot of customers, a lot of analysts, and talk through the edge and the ecosystem that will be driving the open edge. I want to thank you all for joining and registering and being part of our event. I also want to thank the team, the ZEDEDA team that put this together in an amazing fashion. And finally, I want to thank all our speakers, all the companies that decided to be part of our event here and share with everybody their perspective and opinions on Edge. So we have an amazing lineup of speakers today, as well as breakout sessions. If you haven't had an opportunity to check the agenda, I recommend you to do that. There's some great vertically focused, technology focused, business focused sessions. And I'm really excited about how we put the day together and share that with you today. In terms of the event, it has really exceeded our expectations, a number of registration and the audience and everybody's interest in this event. I think it sort of attests to the need of an edge ecosystem conference, an opportunity for folks to share and learn from each other. With that, I want to get started with our keynote. So the event is called ZEDEDA Transform. We picked this name for a purpose. This name was picked because obviously the world is transforming very much with technology being applied. Also, the networks are transforming as part of that. And ultimately, the business is transforming. And as you probably have heard many times before, this concept of digital transformation is all around us. Every enterprise out there is adapting and introducing technologies to improve the competitiveness, to improve the customer experience, to build better products, and just to become better companies altogether. Ultimately, if you take a look back and look at digital transformation and what the drivers of digital transformation, it's all about being able to make data-driven decisions, faster decisions, better decisions than anyone else, and through that increase competitiveness. Now, the data is everywhere in the enterprise. And one thing that is obviously needed is software. Software that enables us to collect the data, software that enables us to analyze the data, software that enables us to learn from the data, and software that enables us to actually make actions on that data. Every company out there is turning into a software company. Software is becoming almost the competitive differentiation between companies that are competing in the same market and in the same vertical. And obviously, you've seen companies come from complete left field, folks like Tesla and others that basically, through technology and through software, are transforming the world and transforming their businesses. Having said that, everything is enabled through the edge. It starts with obviously your supply chain, where your technology comes from. It has to do with producing and manufacturing items, manufacturing or producing energy, all the way to distribution, all the way to delivery, sales, and ultimately also customer support and experience. All of that is happening at the edge of the enterprise. And this is why edge computing is so, and edge is so intertwined with digital transformation. It's such an exciting trend right now, in a way to really propel digital transformation to the next level. Edge also means a lot of other things. It means the edge of the enterprise, the edge of the network, the edge of the cloud. And today we're really looking forward to share with everybody sort of those perspectives and the learnings out of those. So if you take a look at the edge and take a look at how we've been basically connecting the world, we've been going through a set of evolution or steps. It started a few years ago with the Internet of Things. This was obviously a big buzzword 5-10 years ago. Everybody was connecting devices to the network, sending the data to the clouds. And this is really what we call the connect era. It was a lot about how do I collect that data in clouds or centralized IoT platforms? How do I process that data? And it was a lot about big data and analytics driven out of that big data. We are now entering a new era, the era of edge computing. This is about compute driven by the fact that the amount of data is tremendous, is growing tremendously, and it's very difficult to upload all that data to the cloud, but also driven by things like latency, driven by things like autonomy, and data provenance, all reasons why folks have decided to start deploying edge compute and process this data locally close to the source of the data. This means that software that tended to be all in the IoT cloud platforms is now being pervasively pushed on-prem, It's starting there to start processing data. That's the place where you start doing your artificial intelligence, AI inference layer, and everything else. And this is a really exciting change in the network architecture, a really exciting change in the cloud architectures. And really today's conference purpose is to really zoom into this up and coming era and understand what that means for all of us. Obviously, this is a step to a longer outcome. And in our mind, after what will come after edge computing is trust fabrics. Trust fabrics will be driving the ability for devices to connect to each other. It will be a lot more about confidence, the data, the confidence of the devices, and basically it will be driving this world of interconnected ecosystems. Some folks have called it ambient computing, pervasive computing. But basically, the lines where computing sits centrally or distributed will start to blur more and more, and you will start to put software applications and data processing to where it makes sense economically and from a business point of view. So, what are we seeing today? Our startup is a few years old. We really went after addressing this edge computing opportunity as it emerged. And what we've learned as we sat down with many customers in many different verticals, like manufacturing, like oil and gas, like energy, like retail, logistics, healthcare, and transportation, it is right now mostly a bandwidth or data-driven problem where it is just too much data to upload directly to the cloud. Think about sensors, the cost of sensor coming down, the ability to add very easily in legacy environments, video analytics for quality assurance or safety, adding vibration sensors or acoustic sensors for predictive health analytics for mechanical systems. All of these things generate right away tremendous amount of data, and it's very difficult to upload all that data to the cloud. We're also seeing a lot of legacy in a lot of environments today. There's already software running. There's already today in manufacturing sites, processing happening, control happening, historians run there. And that data needs to also be made part of the larger data lakes. And it's just, again, too much data to upload straight to the cloud. So again, a big driver for edge computing is processing that data locally, making sense of that data and sending it to the cloud. And this is why we're seeing the move of workloads moving from the cloud to the edge and seeing the need and desire to deploy cloud native applications at the edge. We are super excited about this trend. I think it's one of the biggest changes in architecture that we have seen in a long time. We're really excited to be part of this and enable this there. So if you look at the edge and sort of what the requirements are in order to enable this edge computing, there's sort of three things that really stand out in our point of view. The first thing is it has to be truly open. We'll get back to this in a little bit, but we are a big proponent of open architectures and open standards. The second thing, it has to be trustworthy. Some folks talk about secure, some and other terms, but ultimately, as we all know, cybersecurity is sort of an arms race. It is always about building defense, depth in your defense lines, and making sure that you're always using state-of-the-art security technologies. And that ultimately delivers a trustworthy experience and over time, the confidence of data and data fabrics, as I mentioned earlier. And finally, the edge has to be manageable. We're talking about thousands, 10,000, sometimes 100,000 of edge compute nodes that are running in different distributed locations that all are processing data. And the manageability requirements are very strong here, very important to address. So I mentioned the truly open. We are a proud founding member of the LF Edge, which is the Linux Foundation Edge Computing organization. There's several large enterprises and other nonprofits that have came together to really define the architectures of the edge. We'll be spending some time today going through that, but for us, the reason we decided to really put everything we have behind LF Edge and Linux Foundation is that our learning is that open source is the modern way to drive standards. Many of us, including myself, started our careers when the internet was taking off in the 90s. We saw the need for writing RFCs to basically define standards in IETF, and all those standards basically making their way in every part of the internet. It has evolved since then to, instead of writing specs, we write source code, reference architectures, we define APIs. And through that, we now drive the standardization. If anything, what we've seen in the last 10 years in the cloud is that through open source, we've standardized everything in the cloud. And I think what we're seeing now is that between the network and the internet, and the edge being of the edge of the internet, as well as of the cloud, the edge being the edge of the cloud, the combination of those two is coming together. And we thought of Linux Foundation as the premier and the right organization to build this. As part of being a founding member of LF-Edge, we actually contributed an open source project into the LF-Edge called Eve. Eve was really intended as an edge computing engine when we designed it, an engine that you can run on any type of hardware, on any type of supporting any type of application on-prem. And our intent was not to make this a ZEDEDA technology, but to make this a Linux Foundation technology, a technology that belongs to the community, a technology that leverages significant amount of open source. And with the additional work we did on it, becomes almost the Android of the edge. The opportunity to put this inside manufacturing sites, inside wind turbines, inside vehicles is truly amazing. And we've seen some really strong feedback from customers and partners around the architecture and the flexibility of Eve. And if anything, I invite everybody to really visit the LF-Edge website, to look at our Eve project, as well as several other projects, the project we contributed and other projects, and really learn and understand how the edge computing frameworks and architectures are coming together. So a few words around the company. I am the CEO and founder of ZEDEDA. We are a company based in Silicon Valley, really went after this manageability problem in the edge. The solution that we decided to do is applying virtualization and orchestration technologies at the edge, taking advantage of the most modern architectures in containerization, taking advantage of the most state-of-the-art security capabilities, and really giving customers the ability to orchestrate any type of application on top of this open source foundation that I mentioned earlier, on top of any hardware, and supporting any type of IoT edge in any type of vertical. We've been going at this for a few years now, and we've been super excited to see sort of the reception from customers and partners around the needs and requirements on orchestration and how we've been addressing those. Today in our sessions, you'll see some ZEDEDA customers and partners talk through how the technology has been helping them to enable their vision on digital transformation, edge computing, and making data-driven decisions. As I said earlier, we're a big believer of the open edge. The open edge is, while it was today starting in each vertical separately, ultimately, we're going to see interconnected ecosystems. What that means is that we're going to start to see how, for instance, industrial and consumer will start to integrate tighter to each other. We'll see how cities and things like retail or automotive will all start to align closer together. We've all obviously seen all the predictions from futurists around, how everything will be autonomous, how everything will be interconnected, and really the open edge will, I think, be a prime driver to support that. We think there's going to be some amazing new, what we call B2B, B2X to X innovations happening, where companies that you may not have thought of them as a company in that vertical will suddenly become a prevalent or very provide solutions and delight customers in those specific areas. The only way to get there is through an open, trusted, and a manageable foundation. Which brings me to our conference today. The edge, the internet, obviously, as it was built in an open way. If you think about it, there was an open ecosystem that enabled us to build the internet as it is today. As I mentioned a few times, the edge sits at the edge of the internet. So in our mind, it's going to follow sort of the same paradigm, where we'll see open and ecosystems work together to enable it. Obviously, we're still early in this edge computing era, which makes it even more exciting, because I think this is the time where architectures are defined. This is the time where the technologies are being picked, and this is the time where the first learnings are being made. Today's conference is really intended to support that, to propel that, and I want to really thank everybody for attending this conference today. We look forward to an amazing day. We look forward to your feedback, and really want to thank you.